Yeah, so we've got a local authority view that we created in a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, which was grabbing data direct from Public Health England, who were publishing a CSV file using ArcGIS, but that doesn't really matter. They were publishing it at a URL and they were updating that every day, the data, not the URL. On Tuesday, I think it was, they changed to a new dashboard, which is great. The code for that's on GitHub. That's all in the open. That's a good thing, and it looks a lot cleaner and nicer. But unfortunately, the background to that, they now have a daily file that's in a different URL every day, and a different file that then gives you have to go to find out where that file is. That, as Paul said, broke our visualization. It broke some other people's visualizations. There was quite a bit of comment on it yesterday on Twitter and on the GitHub repo for the Public Health England dashboard. It basically sort of breaks one of the fundamental points of the web, which is having things at URLs that you can reliably get to. And because people are really wanting the latest version of a data set, they want to be able to go to a consistent URL to get that data every day for their visualization or interpretation or tool or whatever it is that they're doing. So I'm hoping that Public Health England will put that back. It's fairly simple to do, but in the meantime, Giles has done a workaround. So I should also say before Giles comes on that we've switched to just using Tom White's collated data because he's got reliable URLs. He's also collating data for the 4 nations in the UK, not just for the local authority level for England. So it's just, his data is just generally more reliable for using. Although it then does mean it's slightly behind Public Health England because he has to update that.
So just to, I've hopefully you can see that on the screen. I've linked to Tom White's GitHub there.
Oh, so that's a link to ours actually. But if you click through to
yeah. And
that's just a page explaining where we got the data from and how we did.
We've explained that, and this is a really great repo. If anyone wants to use this, this is the repo putting it all together. All the data sources in the UK, and typical
He's
of the
also
UK.
got notes about the history of what's changed when, like Wales stopped publishing certain things and restarted publishing certain things.
Which is great, which is amazing. But typical of the UK, we've got someone who's taken it upon themselves to do this. So who's basically using it as a hobby, and we think this is the best set of open data relating to COVID, all in one place that's linked. And I don't think I was paying Tom to do it, and I think he's doing it for the benefit of everybody. So yeah, that's an amazing resource. Have a look at that. We're using it.
More generally than COVID, it's something that does happen quite often. So election candidates, for instance, has to be crowdsourced by an open source team because there isn't a central UK body that brings that all together into one place.
Yeah. But Giles, you fixed it, yeah?
Well, I've patched it for the moment. So, I mean, clearly it would be better if Public Health England were publishing this data, as Stuart said, in a referenceable format. That said, the data is there. It is possible to get to it. You need to do a bit of downloading and then finding out which file is there. Their code is all readable. So all I've done is I've turned that into a repo hosted on ODI Leeds GitHub. And essentially the 3 data sets, or the 3 versions of that data set you can now access. You can see all your links in at the minute, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to go to the emergent stuff, but yeah.
Okay. Are now available. So there's the raw JSON data. I'll quickly share my screen if that's okay. There we go. So you should now be able to see that repo sitting in ODI Leeds. There's a build script and a couple of library functions, but the main stuff is that the coronavirus cases, deaths, and the data, which are directly downloaded from and translated from the Public Health England stuff, are available in that repo. It might just be appearing on my shoulder in a second. I've also put in a metadata file which says when I ran the download. The intention is that I'll turn that into something which is built every couple of hours, just so we get the latest data from Public Health England. But as I say, ultimately, it would be great if they were able to share that directly themselves, so we didn't have to do this. The link for that is in the chat.